have you. Did I say excited a lot? I'm so pleased to have you be a
Thrilled.
part of this interview. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, things are good. That everything is good as long as you're above ground, as I always say.
That's right.
You know. So
Hmm.
I am been noticing and been a fan of your work, and it's just so great to see more of us, especially Black females or women of color, out and about, in nature, be it hiking or capturing the beauty of it. And to have this opportunity to get to know you, and for all of our followers to also get to know you, is just really cool. So I want to start off and ask you to kind of, you know, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and why landscape photography.
Yeah. So I'm based here in Maryland, not far from DC, and I've been here for pretty much most of my life. Born in Kentucky, but grew up in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I've been interested in photography for about 10 years. I think is when I first got my point and shoot camera. Not even an actual DSLR, but just a point and shoot. And I would take it with me on road trips or would take pictures when I was, in high school of plants, my cat, just random things. If I see a rainbow, I take it out and shoot it. Um, and I got my actual real camera in about 2017. So that's when I got an actual DSLR camera. And I took it out with me to Iceland. That's
I'm sorry, did you say Iceland?
Iceland.
As
Yes.
in over the water Iceland?
Over the water in the Arctic Circle. Yes, Iceland. Yeah. So,
How did that come about? I mean, how do you go from, okay, I have my point and shoot, then I got my professional camera, and now I'm in Iceland. Okay, so explain this. How
it
did
was
this happen?
really amazing experience. So, how did it start? So I first and foremost, I love traveling. That is my passion. If I could just hop all over the world, all over the United States, that's what I would spend my time doing. So I'm gonna speak it into existence. But that's right. Um, but yeah, one of my girlfriends, we worked together, and we had previously gone to Vermont and a few other places. And she hit me up one time and said, "Hey, I saw this Groupon deal to go to Iceland. We should go." And I was looking into it and just reading about Iceland, and it's a very small country. It's only about the size of Ohio. So we actually drove around the entire perimeter of the island. But I was looking into it, I was like, you know what? Let's not do the Groupon thing. Let's just plan this trip for real. And I got a camera. We went there, we rented a car, we drove around the perimeter of the entire island. It's literally a photographer's dream. So I that's where I got some of my main uh, photographs that I have on my website. I have a lot of Iceland shots and
How
from some
long were
other
you
places,
there?
but I was only there for 8 days. It
Only
was
8 days.
quick. We were in a different spot every day. It was beautiful though. It's yeah, highly
Oh,
recommend it.
talk about like a jump into it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you were taking pictures, around home, your cat, and at what point outside of the Iceland trip did you say, I'm gonna go ahead and get the DSLR, or did the Groupon invite say, you better get it now?
Only for photographers. Um, it was definitely a transition. I would say I'd say the middle part where I started to transition more. So I took prior to going to Iceland, a
Mhm.
year prior to going to Iceland, I took a month off, and me and one of my best friends, we went cross country, or we flew to California, and we spent a month traveling like 4,000 miles in that area. So California, Utah, Oregon. And I bought a GoPro. So I had a GoPro camera, and I would take
Okay.
it with me on hikes, and it's super like wide angle. You know how GoPros are.
Yeah.
And I just loved I fell in love with the West Coast and the scenery and the landscape. Prior to that trip, I hadn't been past Kentucky, so that it was a
Talk
huge
about being
change.
shocked, huh?
Yes, the mountains alone, I couldn't believe it. So I after that trip, I didn't have a DSLR then, I had a GoPro, but after that, I'm like, I'm going in for real. I'm getting the camera. When I do my next trip, I'm gonna have my camera ready, and I've had it with me since then. I just upgraded to a new camera, and I'm excited to start working with that soon. And
I have to ask, what's the brand?
Sony.
What time is it? Is this over yet? Okay, I don't have anything against Sony. No.
Yeah, we'll see how I like it, but uh,
So did you a lot of times, and let me take it here, when people are just getting into photography and they'll may have a point and shoot and what so have you, but for you in the time that you went from the point and shoot to like a cross country trip with the GoPro to like jumping in the plane, going over the ocean, to Iceland, did you find the time to get to learn your new DSLR, or was it a I'll learn as I go because I'm in the road and I'm on the plane?
it was a I'll learn as I go. I was just so excited to have it and to
Uh-huh.
leave the country. I was just like shooting everything. And in hindsight, I wish I had taken the time to really dig into the different techniques and like composition and things like that. I mean, I did take some pretty good shots, but like looking back, I'm like, oh man, like that shot that was whatever could have been a lot better. So I'm just
And
hoping that
that
I
means you got
have.
to go back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just gotta go back, and I would love to go back because there's so much to see there. So I hope I get a chance to go back.
Oh my gosh, 8 days in Iceland. What time of year did you go?
Summertime.
Oh
It was a
wow.
summertime. It doesn't get hot over there. I think the highest temperature was like maybe 60, 62. It's probably it stayed around 55.
Okay.
But because Iceland is so close to the north, past the Arctic Circle, so during the summertime they have the midnight sun. So the sun literally never went down. It would be 3 o'clock in the morning and it would look like 6 o'clock in the evening. It was so bizarre. I never experienced that in my life. I was awake all the time. It was yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. I had that experience going to Alaska back in July. And
Hmm.
you do find yourself, and it is the weirdest thing, like I'm not sleepy and it's midnight and it's still daytime.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
go out and take some more pictures,
Right. Yeah.
and local people, that may be out late,
Hmm.
looking at you like, so yeah.
Yeah.
With you having a point and shoot and then having your GoPro, I want to touch with the GoPro. A lot of times we hear where people are like, when they see beautiful images, it's like, well, what kind of camera is that? Because it's all about the camera, it's not you.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know where I'm going with this. So with you having your point and shoot and then your GoPro doing actually the cross country trip, did you find or do you find that whether it's the camera that makes the difference, it's your eye that makes the difference, or that it's the combination of both? Because I'm sure with you having your GoPro, and although I know the wide angle of it, you know, I'm sure you got some great images.
I
Uh,
did. Yeah.
so, expand on that. What's your opinion on that? What kind of camera?
Uh,
See, you're laughing because I know you heard it. We all hear it. What kind of
we
camera
all
is
hear
that?
it. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the only contributing factor to your beautiful images is the camera. Not true. Not true at all. Um, I believe, and I think a lot of photographers believe it's mostly your eye and having the vision to even see like a camera, so our eyes are seeing in 3D and the depths and everything. And when you take a camera that flattens that out, so how do you learning how to work with the light and the shadows and textures and how to manipulate those things to create an image. And I think also where the camera comes in play is with the camera knowing your limitations
Mm-hmm.
with the camera. So you're not going to get the crispest image with like an iPhone 7, that's just you just got to know where your limits are
Did
when
you
it
say
comes to like
iPhone 7? So you talking about going
I know
way
I was trying
back.
to think. I know because yeah, I don't have the newest iPhone. I think I have like a 8 or something, but like whatever. I'm fine with it.
At some point you
Uh,
like it's almost as bad when you're like, oh, it is 7. Oh gosh, was that 19?
yeah, I have no clue. I have no clue. It's funny. One of my actually my top selling image I shot in Oregon, and I was going on a misty hike with my friend, and we're at Cape Perpetua in Oregon.
Okay.
High tide, crashing waves, the foggy in the trees, and I was like, "Oh, this is so beautiful." And I shot it with my iPhone. I think it was like a 7 or yeah, and that is my top selling print because I captured the mood of that place. When you look at it, I've sold this image to some people who actually live in Oregon. It's like, wow, this actually captures what it feels like to be there in that misty kind of gloomy feeling when the sun's not out and the waves are crashing and it's kind of like, yeah.
You're like,
um,
point people. It's the eye.
it's the eye. It's the eye, yeah. I think it's definitely the eye and the brain to be able to imagine what you want the image to look like and using your tools to create that. So, and that takes time, and
That is so
yeah.
true. It is so true. And let me ask you, what do you enjoy most about photography? Because as you know, right now, observing when you're talking about Oregon and I'm like sitting here and I'm like visualizing it, right? I'm like, oh, the waves. And like right now, I think it's like king tide season. And I'm like, and you're like the mist. It's almost as if you're describing a meal and it's like, I want some right now.
Yes, yes, yes.
So share, what is it about photography that you enjoy the most?
Mm.
Mm.
I love so I feel like looking at my style of photography, I feel like there's different styles of photography. I feel like my style tends to be more on the moody side. If you
Okay.
look at some of my images, some photographers are very bright and vibrant, with the contrast and like that's not my style. I'm more, my s- my images tend to be more like moody. I try to capture like the feeling of the place and sort of my own personality in the images that I share, and that I create because I'm a person that's sort of um how I just reserved, I guess. I feel like I sort of get that in sort of the images. So that's something one of the things that I love about photography is sort of not just getting an image of a place or a thing, but also on top of that, sort of capturing like the feeling behind the image and like
Mhm.
the emotion behind the image to sort of put people in a place maybe of calmness. That's sort of where I try to get my photography to make people feel like relaxed, calm, or introspective. That's sort of the feeling that I try to portray in my images. And also, I consider myself a naturalist. I love being in nature. I love hiking. I love just being in the woods. So, being able to share the beauty of what I see when I go out, I think is really profound and fulfilling for me. So, that's
Yes, and it is so beautifully displayed in your images.
Thank you.
And we're also, I want to do touch on the hiking and the nature and the other aspects of your life, outside of photography too, because I know you also have a lot of that too on your Instagram profile as well.
Mhm.
All right. So I know I said, all right, what do you like most? And you got to do the opposite. What do you find is the hardest part about photography for you?
For me, I I don't consider myself a pro. I'm still learning. This is like my passion project, so this is
Right.
something, but I would say, and I think a lot of people might say this, is like really learning how to use lighting in a way that really makes your images pop to like how you're seeing it. Sometimes, you know, I'll like, oh, that looks so wow, and then I'll snap it. Mm, so it's just that process of like really nailing how to like see like a camera and not just see like how you see, but to see like a camera and like how to use your tool to like capture that on paper and on your computer. Something
Right.
that's something that I'm still learning and it's the process and it's something that I'm enjoying. And I'd say also some of the more technical stuff like post editing, um, photography things on the computer. Like I'm not like super some of the things people say, oh, I did this, this, and this in my Photoshop and this. I'm like, oh, how do you do
Like, okay, I just want to capture what I saw and I did that. Why do I need to go any further?
yeah. So just there's so much to learn just even on that aspect after you've taken the picture of like the post editing and all the different techniques you can do to really like make your image stand out. So but it's fun. I love learning it. I love teaching myself it when I have the time to because I'm, very busy outside of photography.
Hmm.
I'd say that's the hardest. Yeah.
Okay. What has been the most challenging subject that you captured?
Mm,
Because I know that you mentioned that you also hike and things of that nature, but that moment where you're like, I want to go so and so. I'm going to get there. I'm going to zip line with my camera back to hike up to 10,000 feet to get that one image because I already calculated that the sun is going to hit that tree
yeah.
at 7:20.
Right. Um, I I when I went to where was I? The Smoky Mountains, and it was
Okay.
one of those things where we just did a hike, and the sun was about to set, and there was this one overlook that was, not too far, but it was known for its beautiful sunsets, and I got there, and I was shooting and trying different, and it just wasn't really turning out how, like, I was seeing it, how I wanted to see it, and, sunsets and sunrises, there's such fleeting moments, um, they happen pretty quickly.
Yes, they do.
Um, so yeah, that was difficult because, immediately after we left and the next day we came back up to Maryland, so it was like, "Okay, well, next time."
Like, dang it, my list keeps getting longer. It does. And people don't understand, like when we're out in these elements and capturing these beautiful images, it's not always easy. 99.9% of the time is challenging. We have our packs, our tripods, we're hiking, and that in itself. And then you're like, okay, I can get to that point. The sun's going to be going down in an hour. That looks close, but when you're walking it, you're like, we're still 5 miles away.
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah.
See? I see it in your face. You've been there. Those moments, like, dang it. How would you say that landscape and nature photography has contributed to the woman that you are today?
Mm, I think it I think it really helps you slow down,
Okay.
and it helps me be able to see more intimately my surroundings.
Mhm.
And, 'cause whenever you're in nature or looking at things, even if you don't have, at least for me, even if I don't have like my camera with me, because I don't always have with me when I go on a hikes, I still find myself looking at the area. Oh, like a shot like that might look like that. And you're kind of slow and looking at how the lighting is hitting things like, oh, but I think it helps you to slow down a little bit, to see things more intimately. And I feel like I like I said, I just love being in nature. So it just kind of impounds on that. It just makes it more like solid, like just my love of nature, to be able to not just be immersed in it, but to also capture that beauty and to
Yeah.
share it with people. And I have some of my works on people's walls, and that's going to last for years and years to come. And just to know that, like, I've provided that, you know, for
Yes.
somebody is like, wow.
Do you have that feeling when you sell one of your beautiful images, like, okay, mom, see you later. I know I gotta let you go. How does that feel?
It's a wonderful feeling. I it's not even something like, if in the future if I get rich, if it becomes a booming business, great. But honestly, I just love having my artwork in people's homes and sharing my postcards with their friends, loved ones. It's like I just feel like, yep, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is
Right.
one of my purposes in life, is to share beauty with the world, and that's, you can't beat
Yes.
it.
Well,
Can't
I
beat
know
it.
your friend had brought up, the Iceland trip, which was based off of a Groupon. And we we are so programmed when we see like Groupon, like, oh, budget, let's go.
Mhm.
Let's say that you're presented with an opportunity and someone's like, all expenses paid, you can go wherever you want to go. Where is that going to be?
I was thinking of that question prior to the interview, and I still don't have one answer, because I literally want to go everywhere. But
Your answer to them would be, how long do I get to go?
yeah, I'd say so. Let me see. I say one place I've been really like, oh, it'd really be nice to go there is, um I don't know how to pronounce the name of the town, but it's in Switzerland.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen those villages where it's like the small village in the valley, and then you have these towering cliffs on each side with waterfalls coming down and mountains in the back, and there's like a little like sheepdog running around. And they have like their water mills, and I
Wait a minute, and the sheepdog.
I'm like, it's like
I mean,
dogs.
you know how to paint a picture verbally, right? I'm like, oh, I see the sheepdog too. Okay.
Like hanging their linens on the lake, and there's
Oh,
waterfalls and cliffs and mountains, and yeah,
you
that's
got me crying. I'm like, not the sheepdog. Okay. All right then.
yeah, yeah. So Switzerland, and I'd love to go to West Africa and Morocco, and I just everywhere. But yeah, I've been thinking about Switzerland a lot. Yeah.
I guess that. I would never have even thought of, oh yeah, and the sheepdogs, because that's common. Oh man, this is a first. You had me laughing. I got I'm up here crying. Okay. Woo!
Ours bring back.
Like, I don't even know what my next question was gonna be. Jeez. Okay. Oh. All right. Okay. I digress. Let me get myself back together. Sorry for all you who are watching this. You guys might be crying too. Let's talk about the pandemic.
Here we go. Yeah.
I almost know the answer. Switzerland. How has the pandemic affected you with your photography during these last almost 2 years?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was intense. My day job, I was an essential worker. So
Okay.
you know, in the food industry and with retail, and it was just that aspect of it was very draining of dealing with all the people and the chaos, and I worked full time, so that was just really draining. But in general, I would say the COVID era hasn't really impacted me too much other than being able to travel, you know.
Okay.
But I wouldn't even say that's really COVID because I have a 2-year-old at home. Yeah. So like
Aw.
I have a little boy, so like I work full time and I'm mommy the rest of the time. So I'd say that's been more of an impact on anything.
Like, no daycare.
Yeah. Yeah, me and my husband and and my son's grandfather, we're all, watching them, taking care of them, and so I'd say that's been more impactful and getting out there and photographing, but definitely just the like physical and just mental drainage of dealing with a lot of people, as an essential worker during like the height of it and all through it, paranoia, just people are very frustrated. It's draining, and I definitely feel like I haven't been as immersed in my creative endeavors, at least during the beginning of it. But that's changing right now. Like I said, I got my new camera and I have some plans. We're not really set in stone, but some ideas of some places that I want to go and some things I want to do and subjects that I want to shoot with. So, yeah, I try not to let it affect me too much, but it was definitely a challenge. Definitely starting out, it was a lot of chaos and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, we just touched on about the pandemic, and we're going to change things up and ask you who or what inspires you when it comes to your photography?
Hmm. I'd say first and foremost, it's just my love of nature. Like that's like I just love it, love it, love it. I just want to, in multiple aspects of my life, I just want to be more and more in nature. Um, and this is just one facet of it. So I'd say that's first and foremost. Um, honestly, the group that you've created is one of the
Not just me,
things.
I'm a co-founder.
Yes, you're the co-founder. Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you guys just being a part of a community, and knowing that there is a community of Black women who are into landscape and nature photography. It's really, especially as of recently, I think it's really inspired me to do more, um, because prior to me creating my page on Instagram, I knew no other Black female nature photographers. There are plenty of portrait, wedding photographers, people shooting people, and I think that's wonderful and great. And maybe eventually I might dabble in that. But in terms of like nature and landscape, I don't know any, and I still have not met one in person. Like it's so that you guys who created this group, it's really been like reassuring and just like seeing some of the images. I'm like, wow, like the way she captured that and the water and like, oh, or like um I forget which page, but I saw someone who you had shared, you guys had shared on your page who captured this beautiful nightlife, like skyline nighttime photography, and it was crisp and just I was like, wow, like
Like, go ahead, girls.
I was like, man, like I want that on my wall. Like that's what I want to. I want to learn how to do that, and just to see other Black women doing it, it's just like, okay, now I'm in this. I got to keep learning. I got to keep getting better. I just got
Yeah.
to keep engaging with the people who I know who are already doing it, and um, yeah, yeah, I love it.
Thank you for that. You don't know how much that means to us to hear that, because for us, the group was started during the pandemic.
Mm,
And, to be able to meet other women who have, not only the love of, landscape and nature photography, but are out there with some badass images too.
right.
Right? Because as many of us will say, are like, the unicorns, especially unicorns, or, we're on the island is like, oh, and, someone else responds like, oh, yes. Did I
Yeah.
just do the cuckoo? I did. Anywho,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. It was good.
it was all in the moment.
We're painting the
Okay.
picture today, okay?
Oh my gosh. Let me not start laughing a lot. Let's talk about gear. You got me cracking up. Gear, when it comes to you being out in nature, aside from your camera when you're doing like your photo hikes, what is the main thing that you keep with you or you like to have with you when you're out on your photo hikes?
Snacks.
What snacks? Like, I need my carbohydrates because it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, especially when you're like out there, water and snacks and making sure your camera has your memory card. I've been there.
No, don't tell me
Yeah,
you went on a hike and you didn't have any cards.
there was one time. Yep.
No,
I forget where it was, but
was it
I
a long hike?
long enough. It wasn't like super long, but it was like I wasn't gonna hike those miles back to my. I don't even think it was in my car. I'm pretty sure it was at home,
Oh,
and it was an oversight. So, but yeah. Aside from that, definitely a good pair of shoes.
let's talk about shoes. Is it mostly
Yeah.
hiking boots or hiking shoes?
So I have a few years ago. I had, and I still sometimes use it, but they're a pair of like waterproof Keen hiking boots. I forget the exact brand. They're really good, really durable. But lately, past few years, I've really been wearing mostly minimalist shoes. So zero drop shoes that they're, I guess, considered like barefoot shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have 5 fingers, and sometimes I do hike in 5 fingers. But I also have some like the brand is Vivo barefoot um, shoes, and their shoes they don't have like a rise in them, like they're flat, like you're actually like your feet are actually like how they're supposed to be, and in terms of width and the rise, and
Mm-hmm.
can't explain all the science behind it. But
Uh-huh.
anyways, they're like barefoot shoes, and I've learned to really love them, and I feel like I am walking more naturally with them, like a
Okay.
actual natural walk. And I've um even during hikes where it's a little bit more rugged, not like super, super rugged, but even if there's, it's not like a paved trail or anything, I find that they're still comfortable for those hikes as well, at least for me, because I've learned to wear them so often. I'm used to having more texture under my shoe because I don't wear chunky shoes anymore,
Okay.
really. But
Yeah.
if it's something like really rugged or intense, like I went to Colorado one time and we I hiked the Blue Lakes Trail, and there was a lot of elevation gain. And by the time we got to the upper Blue Lakes, we were above the tree line. Like we were up there, and I definitely needed my King boots for that. I feel like it was very rugged, but in general, I like to have my minimalist boots or minimalist five finger shoes.
Okay. Did you
Yeah,
capture pictures up on the trail up in Colorado?
I did. I caught a few, but sadly, I wasn't able to really stay up there
Mhm.
because we saw some clouds rolling in. And when you're in, what was the elevation? It was like almost 10,000 feet, like elevation, and we were above the tree line. So when you're above the tree line, lightning strikes everything. So my plan was to get up there, eat my snacks, and like take some shots and like kind of lounge around, but got up there and we immediately hauled behind back down because we saw the clouds growing in. I was like, nope, not.
So a storm did come in?
It got a little stormy, not intense, but you never know. I didn't want to risk it. It was my first time, and
Okay.
another hiker who ran into at the Upper Blue Lake had mentioned like, yeah, you should probably probably get it. I was like, I'm not going to question it. I'm new here. I don't, yeah, I don't want to be that person.
Good. I don't think your family would have liked that either.
um,
Well, so are you a type of photographer that it doesn't matter the weather, or are you more inclined to like, oh, it's sunny, I'm gonna go out, I want to do the pictures? Because you mentioned, moody earlier, or do you like to, look and like, oh gosh, I hope we get some fog or something. Just all the sun is just getting on my nerves.
um, I love um, I love sunrise and sunset light. I think a lot of us do. It's just like so just like right. Like, it touches your face and you're just like, oh man, like you just feel more beautiful when like that early morning light just
Right. And even when you do the advanced selfie, you're like,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
everything is gold, right? But yeah, I don't necessarily have a preference. I prefer not to shoot in like high noon light, just or at least I don't feel as comfortable doing it. Maybe if I learned certain techniques, certain things, you know, it's kind of harsh for me, but
Okay.
I do prefer or early morning or afternoon. But I would like to. I love. I don't. And I don't know how we get into it, but I love seeing people's thunderstorm photography.
I love it. I
I
chase storms. Yes. Oh, I
I
love it.
love and like lightning shots and
Yes.
like the cumulonimbus clouds and like the storm front. I'm just like, oh, like my favorite movie or the movie that I've seen the most in my life is Twister. Like I love like oh and like my mom, she's been fascinated with clouds her whole life, and that's kind of been passed down to me. So I love the look of storm clouds and like that whole energy, but I haven't
Yes.
been able to like master shooting in it or how to shoot it. So that's something I would love to learn how to do.
Now you're
Um,
in Maryland, right?
mhm,
Okay. All right.
yeah, I'm in Maryland. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Storm chasing. Yes. I try not to tell people when I go out and chase storms. Um, I try not to tell. Well, my daughter, she's
You're a
okay with
storm
it now.
chaser? Wow.
It is so fun. And you do get that adrenaline because just like when you were mentioning about, sunrises and sunsets, and you have just so much time, that's the same thing because as the clouds or the storm is moving in and it's pushing and trying to time and have your shutter open and get that lightning and your heart is just palpitating and you're like, oh, and then when you get it, you're like, I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah, you can literally feel the electricity in the air. Like when
It's
a
just
storm, I can feel there's a buzz. You're like,
yes, and the clouds. Oh my God. We can talk for days. Anyway,
I
I'm like, oh, that's right. We're doing an interview and we're just like talking about storms
know
and
storms.
things. Okay, well, now we're back to our regularly scheduled program. Oh my gosh. Outside of the shoes and the snacks, let's talk about your camera bag or backpack. What's your preference?
So I currently have a backpack where you put it, it has different compartments. You can put it however which way you want to do it. But I just recently purchased like a side bag for easy
Uh-huh.
access because um yeah, easy access. Like trying to have
Mhm.
to like take your backpack off, especially if you're like wearing heavier like coats or it's just a lot. So yeah, that's what I recently purchased and I like it. So that's
Okay.
probably my new thing for just out and about walking. But I think if I was like a planned destination where I knew I was really going to be there and going to be capturing different things, I would probably still bring the backpack just so I can have my variety of lenses. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, nothing fancy. It's just yeah.
So are you a two? So you have two camera bags right now?
hmm
Okay.
hmm
That'll change.
I'm
The
sure.
addiction will happen.
I'm sure.
It's like I'm one of those people like, buy a what? Did you say a Gucci? Why do I want that? Why would I spend $400 on that purse? Does it hold a camera?
Right. Right.
I'm that person. Like, no.
Yeah.
Let me
I'm
call
on the
up
same page.
Shimoda. Hey,
Yeah.
that $400 backpack. How many cameras can it hold?
Right.
Let's oh my gosh, this is cracking me up. We started off and we were talking about like the plane and shoot, and then you going into the with the GoPro, and then jumping to the DSLR as you were just about to board the plane to Iceland. Um, what advice? And you did say mention this a little bit earlier as far as learning your camera. Outside of that, is there any other advice that you would have for people that are just getting into photography? We have a lot of people, a lot of ladies that are following us that are kind of new to photography, and they have interest and like, I don't have, the big camera. That's fine. So what advice would you provide or tips? And also think about the next generation, because now that we are building this community, there are young ladies to come that will most likely look at our videos and see our pages and like, oh, I saw Hannah's stuff, I want to talk to her, which is not far-fetched, right? So
Reach out.
what advice would you provide?
Ah, well, definitely, if we all have cell phones, and if you're one of those people that likes to stay up to date on the current cell phone, your cell phone camera has a pretty good camera um, compared to what there used to be in the past. Oh, sorry, my son's trying to get in the door. Like,
He's like, I hear you in there laughing, you're having a good time. That's not work.
yeah. But I would say start with your cell phone. Get your cell phone and maybe find a subject like, in the morning, maybe like your coffee mug or something like that. And shoot it at different angles, play with the lighting, like treat it like like a fun, creative thing. Like don't take it too seriously. Starting out, like play with the lighting. That's probably something I would say to
Okay.
try first because you really can like the shot really can change a whole lot just on the lighting and the shadows and just really learning how to play with that. And then just um I find at least I find it helpful to me if there's and if you're on social if someone's on social media, I would recommend joining like a local group,
Hmm.
maybe like a group with other people that are shoot the things that you're interested in shooting in. Because a lot of the times these people, whether it's like with women or just local people, they're sharing a lot of helpful tips and a lot of helpful like just anything, asking questions and just engaging with people that are in that area that you want to be a part of. And that's like with anything, whether it's photography or gardening or this, like just talk with people, learn from people who are doing it, ask questions. At least I find that helpful and I you really do like establish relationships with people and learn new ways of looking at things. Um and yeah, I'd say definitely just start there. At least that's where I started. Like you start with
Hmm.
something small, and you just kind of play around, and then you kind of find your niche, and you kind of find, that style that you want your images to look like, and you kind of go from there. But um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite photo that you've taken?
Mm.
I know that's a hard one because when you think about all the places that you've been, right? Okay, your favorite three. I'll give you three. I won't even
Favorite three. Okay,
have
okay. That's still like
favorite.
um. So I'd say what one of them on that top of that list is this image that I shot when I was in Shenandoah and Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. And I rented this Airbnb for my with my family, me and my husband, my son, and we had this farm Airbnb. And these people on their land, they have the most spectacular view of the Shenandoah Mountains. Like their the Airbnb view was like almost better than the actual park view. Like just you could like see Shenandoah. And one morning I woke up and I was like, told my husband, like, you got the sun, you got it, like you got him. I'm gonna get up early, I'm gonna do my thing. So I got up real early. And again, it was like that morning glow. It was October, the leaves
Okay.
were sort of starting to change. And I captured this image of some mountain peaks in Shenandoah. So you have the main one. The title is "Good Morning Shenandoah" is what I titled it.
Okay.
But you can sort of see like the images, the colors of the leaves changing, the three like mountain peaks, and the gradient of the sky as the sun's coming up with that magenta, orange, blue, and
Okay.
yeah, I just and that wasn't far from what it actually looked like being there. It was just
Mhm.
like a really beautiful find on Airbnb that happened to have this gorgeous landscape for photography. And yeah, so that's one of them. I'd say second um, is this black church, and I mean the color black church in Iceland. And so I had seen pictures of this church like years prior to going to Iceland. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's interesting. And it's this wooden church that's painted all black with like the window frames are white, but it's pretty much all black. And the background behind it are these mountains. It's like so it's on like a peninsula, but the backdrop is these big mountains. You have this black church, and it's just like
Wow.
really striking and like I don't even know how you describe it, but
Oh, you're doing fine.
yeah, yeah. But I captured I made it a point to it was kind of either way on the road trip. I made a point to like visit this church because I really wanted to get pictures of this church. And I have this picture. It's like a image, landscape image of the church, and it's black and white, and you see the striking black church in the forefront, and in the background you can see the
Wow.
big mountains. Um, and third,
Mhm.
uh, uh, yeah, I don't know. I like going through like all the images.
Uh-huh.
I'll just leave it at those. Those are my top
Okay.
two.
All right,
Those
your
are my
top
top
two.
two favorite. Probably next to, I say third is the one I took in Oregon.
Okay.
Um, and one of the reasons why that one's my favorite is because I took that image when I was in Oregon, and I didn't revisit it until last year. So I went to Oregon in 2017. I didn't revisit it until last year, and it was literally just sitting in my Oregon photo album. I just kind of left it, didn't think anything of it, and then once I started getting really into photography, I was like, I've taken pictures, but I also have pictures, from my travels in the past. Let me go through and see what I have, what I can edit and really change a little bit to
Mhm.
capture like how I want it to look. And that was one that I didn't think anything of. And then I edited it, and now people are like, oh my God, I love this image. And it's just sort of like you can take that meaning with life too, like looking back on things in your life that maybe you thought poorly of, but
Mhm.
come to find out in the future is really a gem. And it's that sort of value that I attach to that image. So yeah, those are my top three.
I know that we talked earlier about other things that you do, but in the essence of time, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to that. But I do want to touch on where can people find you? And you mentioned postcards, and I think there's a calendar too that you have as well.
It's postcards right now.
Postcards. Okay. Where can people get in touch with you, and where can they, purchase your postcards?
So I currently have an Etsy page, and it's H Vega Photography on Etsy. And on my Etsy page, I, of course, have uh, my photography, which you can purchase as paper prints, canvas, and metal
Okay.
prints. But I also recently offered postcards. So they're 5x7 premium, acid free matte postcards, and a variety of images. You can get a few as a set of two. There's a few that I have as a set of six, like a variety postcard set. And I captured some of my favorite images, put them on postcards, and I have that available currently on my Etsy page right now.
Awesome. We definitely will include your contact information. You have your Instagram, your Etsy website too, correct?
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Okay. But
Coming
all
soon.
the contact information that you provide us, we will also include in the comments. So before we close out this fun-filled interview, I want to ask you, what does it mean to you? You touched on a little bit of it earlier, but as far as with seeing this group, is there any more that you would like to see from the Black female landscape and nature photographers? Because as we had, discussed earlier, it's great, seeing other women of color in this genre. But what else do you uh, feel that we can also do to bring more of us together?
That's a really great question. Um, I love that you guys had that meetup, like street
Oh,
meetup in
on location. We have
Colorado.
another one coming up. Yeah, we have Rifle, Colorado, September.
Oh, wow, Colorado? Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Man, so yeah, I that's something that I would eventually love to be a part of, is just to get all of us together in person, shooting, doing like live tutorials. I think that would be so much fun, mostly because I just want to meet you guys. And also, I just love traveling, like any excuse to like go somewhere. I'm like, yes.
Right, same here. Like, oh, I'm available that weekend. I'll squeeze it all in 4 days. Mhm. Yeah. So yes, we have Rifle, Colorado. one of our other ladies who lives there had, reached out and said, hey, why don't you guys come here? And it was like, okay. And she's an avid hiker, rock climber. She is
Wow.
like true outdoorsy person. And she's close to, Rifle is by Grand Junction and Aspen.
Oh,
So
okay. Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so we have, we're working on the whole itinerary just like we did in San Diego. And
Wow.
we plan these with the intent of, for people who are coming, you can sleep when you get back home.
Yes. Yep.
If you're looking at this as a vacation to kick back, order margaritas, and just watch the ocean, no. This is our things is strictly photography, different spots. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Noted. Let me. Well,
Yes. Wow, that sounds amazing.
but yeah, we have some things in the works, so definitely will share that. But thank you so much for
Thank
being available. I know your 2-year-old is probably outside the door, like, what is can't what's going on?
you.
So
Yep.
I won't hold you any longer. For everybody who is watching, please like, share, and subscribe this video. You will see Hannah's information in our comment section. So please swing over to her Etsy page. You see her IG, go over there and say, hey, I want some postcards and what so have you. And with that said, thank you so much, Hannah. And we'll talk again soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.